back. Field Yates released his latest mock draft this morning, and he has the Jaguars picking running back Ashton Jeanty with the 5th overall pick, and the Steelers picking Omarion Hampton with the 21st overall pick. Jeanty would be the first running back selected in the top 5 since Sauqon Barkley in 2018. Okay, the back's getting a little bit of love. Mina, do you feel like Sauqon Barkley revitalized the running back position and its respect around the NFL?
I think Sauqon Barkley is a good example, a model for why you shouldn't take a running back 5th overall there if you're Jacksonville. Sounds like paradoxical, right? Because Sauqon Barkley is amazing, and we just saw him dominate, but he dominated on a football team that was prepared to let him dominate, a football team with a fantastic offensive line and great pass catchers and a very good quarterback that was a running back away, it turned out. Whereas the team that drafted him, Molly's team, very high, it wasn't a good draft pick. Great player, was incredible early on, obviously battled injuries, but you saw that putting an elite running back behind a bad offensive line in a bad offense does not fix your football team. Sauqon Barkley wasn't productive his last year in New York, and then he went to the Eagles and was amazing. So you go back to the draft, and I think about some of these teams. A team like Jacksonville had one of the worst defenses in football last year. Ryan, you remember this. I mean, they need help at all 3 levels on that defense, the interior, linebacker, corner, offensively. Brian Thomas Jr., they need more pass catchers. Offensive line has issues. So while I view Ashton Jeanty as a top 5 talent, and I think he's the best running back in the draft, I do not think the value or the situation the Jags are in makes this pick make sense to me.
Ryan Clark?
Yeah, I think, Molly, what Sauqon Barkley did was say, hey, if you have everything else, if you have a great offensive line, if you have a great structure, if you have a good quarterback, weapons on the outside, then an elite running back puts your offense in a tier that is amongst the best in all the NFL, even without having a pass game that has to be Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen. That's what Sauqon Barkley showed you. But what we also saw this year was like a guy like Josh Jacobs that went in the early 30s that was with the Raiders. When you bring him to Green Bay and you have Matt LaFleur and all that they can do, he can show or help your team get to that top tier in the run game. We saw the same thing with Derrick Henry moving to the Baltimore Ravens that had all of these things in place around him to allow him to not only excel but the offense. And so I think that's the tricky part here with Ashton Jeanty. Listen, I love Ashton Jeanty's tape. And when you think about Omarion Hampton, who they say is going to the Steelers, and then it gets to Henderson and Quinn and Junkins and Scatterbo and Dylan Sampson, he's, to me, a step above all of those guys. But to me, he's not LaDainian Tomlinson. To me, he's not Adrian Peterson. And so I feel like if you don't have the correct infrastructure to allow him to shine, he would be a waste of a pick at 5 or 6 for the Jags or the Raiders.
RC, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mom.
No, first of all, I don't know why I teed you up saying Ryan Clark, full government name, but it just came out of my mouth. I was just going to ask, do you like the Jaguars taking Ashton Jeanty at 5, Mina?
Do I like the Jags taking Jeanty at 5?
Would you like that?
No, I don't think they should. I'm with RC. I think that the Bears at 10 is where it starts to make a little bit of sense to me because of the investment that they've put in their offensive line this offseason.
I have to tell y'all both.
Yeah.
No disagreement here. I'm just disappointed with all of y'all takes because I wanted them to ask y'all this question because I wanted y'all to go in a direction that neither of y'all went to. So I'm going to go there for you. You remember the name Austin Eckler?
Yeah,
Austin Eckler, running back for the Commanders, that used to be with the Chargers. Do you remember what he did in July of 2023? He organized a Zoom call where he wanted these players to hop on a Zoom call to discuss running backs, Sauqon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, a few others along with himself, and the treatment that they were receiving. You getting franchise tagged. The amount of money that you think that you're available in terms of your market value wasn't necessarily being met. And it wasn't about dudes' productions. It was literally executives perceived as looking at dudes' birth certificates and saying, well, you know what, this is what you're not going to be. I mean, you don't have but so much time left. So because of that, you're not going to get but so much money. Do you remember how much money Derrick Henry got? how Jerry Jones sat up there and couldn't find $8 million
to
get for Derrick Henry. You understand what I'm saying? We look at even now a Rico Dowdle in Dallas that goes to Carolina. Why? Oh, my Lord, stop the presses, y'all. It was 1 year, $6 million. Jerry Jones couldn't keep him. So you had to go to Denver and get Javonte Williams for $3 million. I mean, it saved $3 million. I mean, my God, stop the presses, okay? And I'm saying to y'all, when I think about this, again, Jeanty could ball, and we get that part. But I'm wondering whether or not you guys would feel that a Sauqon Barkley, that a Derrick Henry, looking at how great they are and how they've defied odds, etc., particularly considering shame. That's what I call the GM for the Giants, not Shane, shame. Shame on him for how he acted, okay? I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, have we gotten to a point where we at least need to look at running backs and their value? And is it worth having a discussion as to whether or not they should be appreciated and valued more?
Mina, you take it first.
No, I have. This is going to sound kind of crazy, but Ryan, you can tell me what you think. It doesn't really. It's counterintuitive. I believe the better your offensive line is, you actually should consider spending more on a running back, which doesn't apply to any other position in the NFL, right? Because normally, wow, our pass rush stinks. Let's throw $35 million at an edge rusher, whatnot. But when you have a good offensive line, what Sauqon, what Derrick Henry, what Josh Jacobs showed, is a great running back can take your offense to outer space. But if you have a bad offensive line, don't throw money at a running back.
I agree with that.
Spend it on the offensive line first. So it's really about team building, Ryan. So I actually think a team like Denver, which has a great offensive line, it's worth investing draft capital in a running back.
No, I 100% agree with Mina, and that's also why we saw Sauqon Barkley get an extension, because being behind that offensive line and being able to show this is what I can do when I have space. I was a very good running back at New York, but in Philadelphia, I'm the best of running backs. At Philadelphia, I'm transcendent in the position. At Philadelphia, I'm getting all of this yardage because they're getting me into space, and I'm making sure that the first guy never gets me on the ground. Right. And so what Mina is saying is this: running back is one of the very few positions that you can't just say, in order for me to improve at running back, I just need to go get a better running back. The run game is one of those things where you say, hey, man, the infrastructure we have right now, because think about this, Stephen A., real quick. Think about this. Miles Sanders was good there. Swift was good in Philadelphia. They knew they could run it, and then when they added Sauqon, it made it totally different.
Right, but what I'm saying to the both of you, that's entirely different than the narrative that was out there, which forced Austin Eckler to take the position that he was taking. What they were saying was, okay, it wasn't teams passing up, like, the offensive line is not strong. Okay, a running back coming here is not going to help us but so much because we can't protect him, we can't create holes for him, we can't block for him. Except they weren't saying that. What they were saying was, well, you know what, you're about 28, 29 years of age. So guess what? You want a 3-year deal. Our numbers tell us, our data tells us you ain't going to be good enough in a year because of your birth certificate. That's what they were fighting, and that's what I'm talking about. What y'all broke down makes perfect sense. Nobody can refute that, but that's not what running backs were being told by